Do you feel safe? Cold, yes, I'm feeling cold. Safe, not so sure. Is anybody snooping on you? Is anybody hacking your bank account as we speak? Suresh, check your phone. Your email, are your passwords safe? To address all these concerns, there can be no better person than Saket Modi, the co-founder and CEO of Lucideus and youth icon on cybersecurity globally. Now, here's a fun fact. Saket and I became good friends in 20 minutes, fast world. So he has promised to give me all passwords and pictures as appropriate of people of my choosing, and therefore, careful folks. Saket.
Thank you. Let me start this presentation of mine without a presentation. I thought I couldn't get a better audience to take a feedback of a script of a movie that I've been writing with my good friend Anurag Kashyap for a new Netflix movie that he's planning along with me. The script goes like this. Let's take a random date, 9th August. There are emails that come in from the FBI to every bank in the country. Let's take India as a random country as an example. Every bank in India gets an email from FBI on 9th of August saying, we are hearing something in the deep web, in the dark web, and there might be a big hack that might happen anytime soon. The good news is most banks in India have been trained not to reply to such emails because they can be phishing emails, and nobody takes this email seriously. Come 11th of August, which is a Saturday in the afternoon at 11 o'clock, within 120 minutes, 15,000 transactions in 28 countries with $10 million in cash siphoned out, with the number of people being caught, 0. The sophistication of a hack like this, because we were thinking of this fictionally, was that if you understand how the banking system works, there is a ATM network, there is a switch, there is a core banking system. So fictionally, we thought there'll be an exploit which will actually come in and become a barrier between the ATM network, the switch, and the core banking system, where the hackers can take out the money without the bank account being affected at all. And not just that, because it's a movie again, we could take it one step further, where this alert that suddenly $10 million of cash has been siphoned out of this Indian bank is reported by, say, Visa, just a random payment provider. And the banking, the bank's boards comes together. Saturday, they're in a mess. We don't know what happened. Saturday, Sunday, they keep on discussing that. Monday morning, their security chief comes running into their war room to say, guys, we just lost another $2 million of cash transfer through the SWIFT system that we had, and that went to an account in Hong Kong, and we're already trying to establish connection with that bank, but guess what? It seems like that $2 million have also been dispersed. The good news which I can share with all of you out here is, everything I'm speaking right now is not a science fiction movie. Everything I just spoke is what actually happened with a bank called Cosmos Bank on 11th of August 2018. And this, in my experience of almost a decade of serving some of the largest Fortune 50 companies around the world in protecting their digital infrastructure, was probably one of the most sophisticated hacks that I have ever come across, where literally the core banking system, the ATM switch, and the ATM network by itself were completely compromised to the point where there was with zero detection. It was Visa which actually alerted the bank, and even then it lost almost $12 million of real cash. And by the way, no individuals' bank accounts were affected. Now this is Cosmos Bank, which is actually India's oldest corporate bank. Is it only small banks which are affected? Let me show you a 20-second video of what the gods of banking have to say. This is a video that you will see on the screen from a Congress hearing in the United States. Can we play the video?
My first question, and I'd like to go down the line, and if you could each be brief, for each of you is, what do you think the biggest risk to our financial system is today?
The cyber we already mentioned, that is the biggest.
I agree that cyber, as we spoke about earlier.
Cyber, as we spoke about earlier.
I agree with that. Cyber first.
cyber, certainly first.
IMF have estimated that cyber attacks could potentially lead to net income losses in the global banking system alone of up to $300 billion.
This is only from 3 months back. And if you notice, the question was not even about cyber. All the banking CEOs were being asked is, what is your number one worry, which gives you sleepless nights? And all unanimously said cyber, because that's the uncharted territory that you have no clues of what's really happening. Let me go back to a boring presentation. I have to. I'm, after all, speaking to the top management folks of the world. And let me actually start with that. So if you can connect my screen, sir. I'm an old school guy, as you can see. I'm going to start with connecting my mouse, because otherwise it's very difficult for me to navigate on my screen. I'm going to request you to count something as trivial as just connecting my mouse to my Windows system that you can see on the screen. I'm going to connect my mouse on the screen. We'll count 20, and we'll try to see what happens when I connect my mouse. So I'm going to do that, and let's see. So I'm just plugging in the USB, and let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, didn't even take. I think there's a problem that my computer faced. It said your PC ran into some problem, it needs a restart. Okay, let it restart. All I did was connect a mouse, a harmless mouse, to my computer, and I think there's some problem, so I restarted this, and let's see what happens. Okay, it says repairing the file system, and it says just give it like 5 seconds. The problem with live demos are things can go wrong all the time, right? So 60%, we'll just wait for it to go to 100% so that we can go back to the screen and basically get to the presentation. Looks like to be a big problem. I don't know why this happened. Whoops. It says you became a victim of the Petya ransomware just by plugging in a mouse on my computer. Do you know what this was? This was just 40,000 lines of code, only 40,000. That's actually a small number when you look at large programs, which had a $10 billion reported impact. And the word reported is very important, because we worked on a lot of stuff which was not reported. Do you want to know why? This shook the world. I'll show you a Wired article. This is a Wired article which says the cost of NotPetya, and these are reported hacks of losses of $870 million by Merck, $400 million by FedEx, $384 million by Saint-Gobain, Maersk, $300 million. In total, you had $10 billion of reported losses based on the exploit I just showed you. And you know how deadly that exploit was? What I showed you was the easier form of the exploit. You know why? Because I plugged in something on the USB stick in my computer. The deadly, do you see that exploit was called Petya, while the article said NotPetya. You know why that not got added? It was Petya with another exploit called Eternal Blue, which was created by the world's most sophisticated cyber intelligence research organization called the NSA, the National Security Agencies, which is, of course, a government of US body, which was so sophisticated of a remote exploit using which you can basically hack into any Windows computer, any, from the outside without the person needing to even click or plug in a USB or do anything which is there. It was that sophisticated. The only little problem which happened in that was NSA themselves got hacked. And that exploit got stolen from NSA, and it was taken by hackers. It got clubbed with what you just saw as Petya. And imagine this. Imagine the CEO of Maersk, which wakes up in the morning to suddenly find one after the other computer of their, of their office having these skulls randomly appearing. And you easily can do an IP scan through which you can find all the open IP addresses which are running Windows, running Eternal Blue, running SMB, which is a default service that runs on every Windows computer, scan port 445, exploit it, get Petya there, and you're doomed. And you just saw real dollar value impact that create. We're super excited about the digital world that comes in the future, but what you just saw is something which is the harsh reality of where things are going. And that's the reason this thing which you just saw was not just hackers and hacktivists using it. I'll just show you a letter which the Israeli government, it's an RFP that was rolled out by the Israeli government for the Americans to buy 0 days. Petya, which you saw, was a 0 day. Eternal View was a 0 day. It's a very sophisticated attack which generally on the day of release doesn't have a patch. That's the meaning of a 0 day. And if you see, this is an actual RFP that you can see on the screen which says RFI, and then of course became an RFP, which says vulnerabilities and 0 day exploits to whom it may concern, blah, blah, blah. And the best line is the line number G. What is your support policy? Because if you give us an exploit of Microsoft Windows and Windows comes out with a patch, do you give us or provide us with a replacement of the vulnerability in case of a patch publication? Imagine where the world is going to when you really look at that. But is it only what you see here from a perspective of large systems being exploited? Absolutely not. If I gave you a small example, because we saw the JPMC CEOs out there, let's take Citibank as an example. This is publicly scraped data from the deep and dark web. When you look at it, you get 33,000 passwords of Citi.com on the internet. This is public. I'm not even going and hacking and getting something. It's like Google that you search in, and this is Aliana something, and this is the password, rattle688. You see William Peggy at Citi.com, it's a hashed password. It's a high probability it might be an MD5 hash. Is Citi the only bank? No, let's talk JP Morgan Chase. You just heard Jamie Dimon. You get 19,000 passwords. Look at this, Kishore Patel at jpmorgan.com, and Sandhya C is the password. And I have a very, very long list that you can actually go down. Is it only banking? Because I wanted to start from banking because that's what you've been hearing since morning. But if I talk about yahoo.com, you actually get 4 million passwords. And look at this, something at yahoo.com, gmail.com, and you'll have a long list of passwords that you can actually get in. So is the case with Gmail. So is the case with, Gmail has 1.6 million of that in the deep web and the dark web which is there. So that's the kind of world that we are living in. And imagine a person who wants to hack would first go there and then get these things get hacked, and then of course try to infiltrate those networks, because the sheer size of the number of employees out there is so large that this is not the JPMC is hacked and therefore the password is outside. It's just that their employee would use that username for LinkedIn or some other place, and LinkedIn would get hacked, which it did, and then that password would come out. Hacks of the future. When you talk about hacking 4.0, it's going to be super exciting. I'm a geek and a nerd by pride. I like saying that. And the kind of stuff that you just saw was actually very boring things. I don't show that when I go to a security conference. I just have to, talk about normal things when I come here, because of course security is not your core competence. Security in the future, hacking in the future, it's like a paradise for a geek that you can really think about. The kind of stuff which is happening in the deep web, in the dark web, is out of the world. Hacker as a service, doxware, AI botnet-enabled hacks which would be there, APIs, how do you get into that? Bomb the bridges, microservices. Oh, I love that. You hack one microservice which can do your login. Every login in the bank gets hacked, which was not the case when it was, it was code which was, monolithic. But coming back, let me even show you something on the real deep web, dark web. What does that mean? Let me start from this. This is the Tor browser that I'm using. What you see on the screen is a Wikipedia page of not wikipedia.com, but this is the hidden wiki. There is a deep web wiki where you can actually go down and you can search for anything you want. Volunteer to do, they believe in community and sharing and caring. Marketplace, financial services, commercial services, mobile store, rent a hacker, Silk Road, etc., etc. You want to buy some interesting things. Go in, 1 gram of pure stuff. You get here, buy now, pay through Bitcoins. You want a new passport? So easy. Go in, it's only 0.1 Bitcoins. You want to hire a hacker where you have hacking a personal computer or hacking a social media account, it's only 0.02 Bitcoins. And those people who wanted to convert 0.02 Bitcoin, I did that for you. It comes to only $208 as on date, which is there. You can actually order that. And the good part of this is it's on demand. So you only need to pay the money once you've got the data of the victim who you wanted to hack into. So it's cash on delivery, almost like that. Assassinations. And of course, there's a lot of FBI and CIA on the deep web also, which you see on the screen right now has not been taken down by FBI and CIA, but they just put it there because that just becomes an easy thing for rookies to not go beyond that. And there are hidden buttons, you go inside, and then you make things happen. This is the real deep web, the real dark web that you would talk about. Of course, after me, we have Madan sir speaking. He will, I'm pretty sure, with Interpol's experience, talk more about it. So that's there. I want to end with all of this because everything that you spoke or you saw right now was good, but it still had one problem. Saket, all of this is super scary, but I don't know how vulnerable am I in my personal life. I don't know whether I'm super secured or not. Let me ask you a simple question. How many of you carry a smartphone? Can I see hands? Awesome. How many of you guys think you're smart enough to carry your smartphone? Can I see hands? Wow. I have like 3 people. Awesome. That's digital 4.0, live to 4.0. Let me give you a live demonstration because everything which I showed you was still at 40,000 feet. Your laptops, your Citibanks or JPMC accounts, et cetera, et cetera. What does this mean to you? Cell phones, as we know, is a new part of the human anatomy, and it's an extended part. Let's show you a live demonstration of how cell phones get hacked. I need a very, very brave volunteer who does not mind me sharing their cell phone and showing that cell phone data. Sir, can I get that? Okay. I will come here. I'm going to take your smartphone with me, and I'm not doing anything on the phone. I will just go up. We will do something interesting here. As you see on the screen, there's this thing. I'm running this cloud thing on the cloud. I'm going to start doing something. I've still not done anything on his phone. I just took it. I'm going to do something on his phone, and let's see what happens. Okay. You need to see the screen carefully. I just got a pop-up on the screen. I'm going to keep the phone. So you can take back your phone if you want. No problems. I'm done. You see it says, open the lab, Samsung. Is Samsung your phone, sir? Yes, it is. I'm going to click on open the lab. With your permission, sir, I will go to, say, your SMSs. Are you okay to do that? I'll go to SMS list. It shows, are these your SMSs? Okay, these are your, okay, bank account SMSs, which I can see. I see your OTPs. Are these your SMSs? Yeah? Okay. If I click on call logs, are these your call logs? Yeah, all of them. I'm going to click on location. If I go in, is this the place where we are? It looks like, yes, we are here. Contacts, let's go in. Are these the list of all your contacts? You see Akbar, driver, and everybody else. I can click on microphone, which actually says record. This is deadly. Why? Because what's happening is I just enabled his microphone on the phone, everything I'm speaking, and you will see what happens in 10 seconds. I will actually get this. So I wish I can. OK, the audio is so low because, just a second. Yeah. I can hear it, but it's not coming on the mic. But basically, I recorded the phone. And he can be in a boardroom. He can be in a bedroom. And I would be able to see all of this live. And the best part is, if you take your phone back, sir, I mean, his phone would be absolutely normal. Do you see anything abnormal on your phone? Nothing else that you'd be able to see. So that's how I wanted to end my presentation of, potentially a lot of things which are possible in the cyberspace with all the hacks that goes on. And for me, for a hacker, for a geek, for a nerd, it's exciting times 4.0 is where I am at. So thank you so much. I hope you liked my presentation. And thank you so much. Do I stay here? Hey. Hi, Rahul. Sorry, I exceeded some time.
Saket, that was fantastic, wasn't it?
I'm glad
And
you liked it.
I'm not going to introduce myself because that's the safest way to be safe. I'm remaining anonymous. So we had a lot of questions, I'm sure, though I have a feeling that most people are completely dumbfounded. Please sit. And they haven't had time to post any questions, but I hope there are a few. Okay, so the first question, how do we avoid the ads email on personal Gmail?
Guys, you get the best infrastructure of sending the emails in the world free of cost. I mean, if you really think about it, it's impossible to avoid like ads on Gmail because, I mean, you are not paying for that service. You can be paying for a lot of email services which will not give you that. There are some pop-up blockers or there are some ad blockers you can install, but Gmail is far smarter. It knows how to give you ads, where to give you ads. So I would not waste my energy out there. The best way to stay out of ads is use a client like what you use in Outlook for Gmail, which can be used, or your Apple Mail for Gmail. Out there will be no ads which will come, and you can have that. But if you go to Gmail, it will pop up some ads. And I think you should live with that. That's okay.
Good. There are a lot of people have voted for one particular generic question, which I think is a question that obviously you need to answer, given that you scared the living daylights out of us. So you've successfully managed to scare us very badly. So what do we do now to keep ourselves safe?
That's very simple. You can hire me. And I can basically go ahead and then, do the security. No, but on a very serious note, if you really think about it, and this is where the new way of doing things come into the picture. The reason you have a lawyer, you have an accountant, you have an HR small function, when I say small, the number of people compared to your core business, is because you've always had internal competencies which require a deep expertise in the organization. So as an organization, what I can say is you need to invest in the right security team, people, process, technology. And as personal people, my high recommendation would be when you use social media, when you use email, when you use anything, take some time out to really know how security works. Because unfortunately, most of us are not trained on how to use the internet. We only learn it from our peers. And that's the reason why there is no formal training of how or what is the most responsible way in which you can really look at the internet. And that's the reason why I would highly suggest that spend time in training. And that's a very, very important piece.
So this question resonates very closely with me because I just installed some cameras in my house as I went on holiday last month.
Sure.
So this question says, we now have multiple computing, mobile, as well as IoT devices. And we also have a number of visiting guests visiting our houses coming onto the Wi-Fi network. Sometimes in Singapore, your helper is also on the Wi-Fi network. So what do we really need to do to, in this new IoT-enabled environment, protect ourselves?
Yeah, so IoT is exciting. We spoke about 6 billion devices going to 50 billion in the next few years. What you need to do is, when you get an IoT-enabled device, one of the big questions you need to ask the OEM or the vendor or online, if you get something from Xiaomi or Sony or whatever, is how secured is that device? Unfortunately, not a lot of people take that into consideration, although that's now becoming, what you see security is becoming a business enabler. And that's where, when you open a bank account, when you buy a TV, how secured is the TV becomes a big question. I can give you a 20-second case study. There's a CFO of a very large pharmaceutical company which changed 16 phones in a span of 3 months and then basically came to us. Why? Because every time he would get a new phone, he would get text messages saying, today you look very handsome, today your shirt is suiting you, your son is in your drawing room right now at 1 o'clock at night, please ask him to go to bed. And he was freaked out. The reason why this was happening was he had a dedicated lease line internet at his house, and his TV had an Android TV, which was basically hacked, and his drawing room was basically giving a live feed of his TV into some Eastern European country, so there's no question of catching the hacker. But on the other side, basically everything he was doing for over a year was being live broadcasted with a lot of places. There are search engines like Shodan.com, S-H-O-D-A-N. It's like the Google of IoT devices. So if you go to Shodan and type web cameras, you'll get hundreds of thousands of open web cameras around the world that happen. It's not just webcam, it's also for IoT. So sorry, my answer was a little longer, but I wanted to bring home the fact that this is a very, very, very real problem. And geeks and nerds like us actually get to see how easy it is to hack into so many places because the users are still not asking the right questions on security. But with the Capital One hacks of the world, with the Facebooks and the Google hacks of the world, it's now coming to the center stage, and that will be changing very soon.
That's fantastic. Last question, I think, since we're just about at the end of our time, and I'm sure there are many, many more questions. They keep coming up faster than I can even read the questions. There are technology platforms which are advertising enabled.
Sure.
And there are technology platform companies which are not driven by advertising.
Sure.
All of us use search, all of us use email, all of us use Messenger, all of us use a mobile phone. So some people are saying that you should move to security platforms which promise not to use your data for advertising. What is your view on that?
Yeah, so I think considering everything that's going on, it is a very difficult choice to make for a simple reason. You go to Facebook because there's critical mass on Facebook. You go to Snapchat because everybody's on Snapchat, right? So if you had a choice to go somewhere else, there's no reason why, everybody would not switch there. But the funny thing is the moment everybody would shift there, I don't see a reason tomorrow, and I'm not saying this for Apple, but there's no reason why if Apple is a $1 trillion company by only selling devices, would it not have an aspiration to become a $2 trillion company by selling ads tomorrow also? So it's just the way how businesses work is what I feel. As an entrepreneur, Tim Cook or any CEO is under constant pressure on how do you get new revenue streams which are there. I think they talk about not using the data because that actually helps them get more customers, but the day that will go beyond a threshold where they'll see a bigger business opportunity, and I'm not saying this for Apple, I'm just saying this for any reason, any company, I think they will just jump on the other side.
Thank you. So we've run out of time, but thank you so much for a fantastic presentation. I think let's give him a good hand.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
And let's also remember that from what we've seen today, we're all aware that security is an issue, but I think the risk of security is much, much higher than what we read and what we're aware of. And it took us into a small peek into the dark web and everything that's possible out there. Every one of us could be targets in that space, and therefore it's really important for us, but also for our children, that we educate them about how to protect themselves. Thank you so much, Saket.
Thank you so much.